if they decide you've got the kids, they're landing and they're all psyched up and it's just been a great class and they're having fun, and they go, well, you know what? You know, oh, I just got to say this. Andy just wrote a line when I bounced a little bit there on that landing. He said, my instructor used to say you get credit for 2 landings that way. Yeah, that's probably true. That's pretty good. What you can do next is you can go ahead, if you select, and it's in your handout, you're going to select, you can have the kids then go out to San Diego and land on an aircraft carrier. So let me go ahead, we're going to do quick flight setup. Let me see, all right, San Diego International, I believe. We go to that airport. It's going to freeze up a second. All right, better go ahead and get that time set. We're going to do a couple other things too. We're going to set that time back to 8 o'clock. And then, all right, so we're there at 8. Then we're going to do this. Okay, file loads. All right. Load a situation. Notice, let me go back and show that again. I kind of rushed that. Go up to File, Load Situation. Okay, so right there, Load Situation, boom. Now, we're going to come down here. You got grass field takeoffs, grass field landings. You got all kinds of things you can practice. Well, we're going to do an aircraft carrier approach. And there you are. And let me tell you, this is the water smooth. We can change it so it's really wavy. And you got to try to land on this aircraft carrier. So you can change so you can make it wavy and try to land it. So we're coming down there. Now try this. If you got kids who can land it, they're landing on the wave, and they're feeling pretty pumped, do this. Oh yeah. How'd you like to be in real life doing this? I am so way overshooting that. I am not even close. So that's what you can do. So you can really, if you think about it, first, second, you've done 1 class, 2 classes, 3 for lessons 3 and 4, or maybe you've gone 4 a little bit into the next period. Then you can spend this day practicing landing. So this is all a lot of fun for the kids. We get into flight, and then you can get ready to start transitioning. Now they now understand how an airplane flies. Now we're going to start talking about trade-offs in airplane designs with the next lesson, lesson 7. But before we go on to lesson 7, let's go ahead and now we'll do a little bit of lesson 7 tonight because we got some time here, which is what I was hoping we would. But do we have anybody have questions about what we've done so far today? All right, let me see here. Oh, this may be obvious. Eric's asking a good question. This may be obvious to people who have this software already, but for reference, how do you find the specific controls in a different aircraft? Is there a find or help screen? Since you're controlling it mainly with your mouse, you can control everything with your mouse. There's some helps. If you go to help, there's key assignments you can look at for each plane. Because the nice thing about X-Plane is they give you the plane builder. So kids can build, and adults do. There's a whole industry of people that build airplanes. So depending on the specific airplane, they may have different key commands for that plane for very specific instruments. But you can fly most of this with your mouse. I hope that helps. And if you go on the help screen, you'll find those key assignments. If you go under settings as well. I hope that helps, Eric. I would also say this is another time for me to pitch. Let them fly the Cessna. Let them fly the King Air. Don't have them fly in the World War. The first thing you're going to jump into is try to do the modern fighter aircraft, and that's really not going to be what we need to be doing right here. Okay? If our goal is to be designing an airplane, they're not going to be designing fighter aircraft. Oh, and to answer this question is going to come up, well, can they shoot their aircraft? Yeah, there is a way to have it shoot at things. It really doesn't trail off. It's not very effective to be a dogfighter because, you know, originally the people at X-Plane really didn't want the kids just shooting things up. That's very serious business. And I speak from someone who's got good friends that are former students of mine, and a son who's starting navigator school in the Air Force is down there now starting that. You start talking about air-to-air combat, that's serious stuff. So I think Laminar Research feeling was they want to trivialize it. And there were other software programs that didn't. Not knocking it. If that's your thing, go for it. But I think they stayed away from that. Plus, the simulator's so good, so I'm not sure we wanted really other people to be designing airplanes like a dogfight using our simulators that might begin to use those kind of tools against us. All right? Okay. Any other questions? All right. Now, and we'll do this because we don't have enough time to do this this week, but we'll do it next week. This is when you go into stability as lesson 6. We're not going to worry about stability so much. We're not going to worry about it. You may go right into X-Plane and you can do it with Fly to Learn. I actually have the kids build a model plane at this point. A very cheap $1 plane. I'm going to show you some other things NASA does. These are all going to be cheap, quickly build little model airplanes that you can then tie in the class so the kids get to do something with their hands. When we come in next week, we're going to do that. We'll go ahead, I'll show you how to do it. I'll also post another video exactly on how to do it. But what they're going to do is they're basically going to take a plane, fly it as it is built, then we're going to modify it to fly it better. And it really ties in everything together. The kids like it to go out to fly. It gives them some real aircraft. And some kids really discover a pleasure in that. All right? So let's go ahead and pause this. Starting to crash here. I'm back on the ground here. Let's go back out to Laui. So when it comes back on, I'll know where. Go to this airport. Okay. Catherine just said, hey, that's something I want to do with my students. We're getting that feedback. We are. We're going to actually have a whole list of NASA activities you can do with building with the kids as well. But there's ones you can use a shoebox to build. There's all kinds of neat stuff out there. And we still build airplanes out there. When we do Science Olympiad, we do Daredevils and different aircraft. So I can give you some tips there as well. And now with foam board, very cheap, you can build foam airplanes very inexpensively. Some really exciting things. But why don't we spend with the 8 minutes or so I've got here, I want to show you going to Plane Builder. Get you pumped up for what's coming. This is Plane Maker. All right. This is going to allow us to design airplanes. So let me talk to you a little bit about lesson 7. And I'm not going to go back into PowerPoint. I'll show it out to you. Lesson 7 gets into aspect ratio. And we start re-quoting that quote in the very first lesson that the Wright brothers were engineers first, pilots second. And, you know, to kind of drive home that this is what we're going to start doing some engineering. And in that first lesson, we talk about aspect ratio. We have the kids calculate the aspect ratio. They eliminate some plane design ideas because it falls out of the aspect ratio. We're trying to get the kids to see, hey, this is why you use math. It saves you time. You're not trying to fly an airplane that will not fly. The tip to all these are, the basic strategy on this is going to be, they're going to take the airplane, and if the screen is lagging, let me know. With Plane Maker, it shouldn't be too bad, but let's make sure. One thing I want you all to see too is, I have this in the PowerPoint, but if you don't have an aircraft, it'll come up, and I'll show you in a moment here. It'll just come up with the side. So make sure you open up an aircraft. We're going to do van RVs. So let me come to this a second. There's van RVs. What you're going to have your kids do when they start designing this airplane, van RV is going to be their standard. You don't want them changing that airplane. All right? If they do, you can copy it off your disk, put it back on, but I don't want to go back do that on 24 computers every time. So what I have the kids do in the lesson is they do things like this. File, save as, and then they're going to name it this van, well, let's hit cancel. Let's make sure we have van RV10. Right there it is. There's van RV10. So that's what it is. Van RVs are airplanes that are built by a lot of home builders. All right. So what we're going to do here is do a file, save as, and in the first lesson, they're just going to say their name and the number 10. So Tom Dubik 10. All right. Save. Down here you'll see Tom Dubik 10. Then I'll do save as Tom Dubik 20. File, save as Tom Dubik 30. And so on. Well, now I have planes that I can modify. When I go, and if you've got the lesson plan right there, you can look at it. We'll go back through this in a little more detail, so don't worry if you don't get it all today. But on page 50 is where I'm going to. So on page 50 in the curriculum, you'll see a table. And what we do is we're going to primarily change the wings and fly to learn. We're not going to necessarily change the fuselage a lot. Where you get most of your bang for your buck in the wing. So we're going to go to wings, and there's going to be a table. So on Tom Dubik 30, it says for wing 1, semi-length of 15. So I'm going to make that 15, which is what it is. All right, so this doesn't change a whole lot there. So I, of course, picked the wrong one. Here, let's try another. File, open, save. We'll go ahead and save that. We'll go to, there's my other airplanes right there. There's a Tom Dubik 50. Let's do that. That'll be the most dramatic. All right. And I think I've already done it. All right, save as. Whoops. How did I do that? Standard. Sorry about that. All right. In there, the wing semi-length is 25. When I go to wing 2, it says make the wing 2 lateral arm. That's this 24.95. You'll need to change yours. It'll probably be something like this. So say if you hadn't changed it yet. You'll see the wing tips are in the wrong place of the wing. Does that make sense? So we've got to make it 24.95. And the reason why it's not just the same as the main wing is because that dihedral angle. We're going to get into dihedral angles on our next trip here. And then the vertical on the 50-footer, all right, there it is 25. But say if it was there, it'd be too far low. Here it's too far up. So they can always just adapt it so it makes sense, it fits there. So look at the wing tips. You may or may not see the second picture. I have a pretty nice screen here. This is probably the picture you'll see right where my finger is. Then I can save this. So I get out, says, do I want to save it here in a minute? File, save, file, quit. Whoops. Now I can go into X-plane. And that plane we just built, we can then test. And what's great, because of that blade theory, because of finite element analysis, that X-plane cuts this plane up, says, okay, this is what the plane is, this is how it's going to fly. So let's go over here. I'm going to bring it up right now. Go to settings, quick flight setup. This is why it's so important to have that quick flight setup. The kids already know to do it. You're not constantly answering that question. You know, hey, get this airplane. How do I find the airplane? Now they know. So we're going to go into general aviation. We're going to go to van RVs. Well, there's the van RV10, and this is what you've seen before. There it is. All right. That's the van RV10. Now let's look at your aircraft. All right, settings. And yes, you can go right to the aircraft choice menu and you'd even get it there faster, but I'm showing it that way. I think I have a Tom 50 there. I just hit. That's it. There it is. Look at that wingspan. Whoops. Look at the wingspan on this thing. It is definitely going to fly differently. And so that's kind of the goal of these next 4 lessons we're going to go to. We'll talk about stability. Next week, I'm going to show you how to build some planes. We'll build a plane and talk about a couple other options. Then we'll go into lesson 7. We'll change the airplanes, and then we'll go on that. If you're talk to the printer, we're going to have our disc within 2 weeks now. Finally got everything worked out. I just formalized the A-OK on our Fly to Learn discs are coming out. If you've got X-Plane, you want to do these lessons before you come to class, go ahead and do them. They'll help with the questions. If you're waiting on something just to even get started, let us know. We'll get you a link and we'll download X-Plane 9. We don't really want to send out 20 X-Plane 9s when we're going to immediately replace them with the Fly to Learn disc in 20 days, and in less than 2 weeks. And I also would add the Fly to Learn disc is going to have an event in there where the kids can actually have a little challenge while they're flying. So we're very excited about that, and I appreciate everybody's patience. But we'd rather send it out right. It's been an hour. Do we have any questions? Let me see here. Remember, if you would, before you sign off, remember to send me an email with the username and I'll sign a password, but I need usernames from you folks, and we can get you on our website, and we'll make sure we get you on the. Let me see here. We got a hand raised. I want to see what this is. Okay, let me pull this off here. I'm going to try and figure out who's got their hand raised. Sorry. Judy, I'm going to try to unmute you so that way we can hear your question. We'll try this, guys. We haven't tried this before. I mean, not with these your webinars. Let's see if it'll do it. Judy, can you hear me? Well, I think we can hear you loud and clear. All right. Uh-oh. I think we lost Judy there for a second. Yeah, we lost Judy. Oh, this is most frustrating. Judy, if you can type your answer, I'll read it back to everybody. It'd be great. If you'll just type a question, I can read it out. I also can say I think there's some really exciting things coming down the road with this. We're really fired up about how we can implement this and get more people involved with good STEM education things, and also help with the aviation side. I'm very, very fired up. Yeah, let me see if I got her question. All right. Excellent and exciting learning, she wrote. Well, that's very kind of her. Thanks. And I'm not sure what happened. We lost her. And then, let me see what Andy said. What was your email again? Okay, Andy. My email, I'll send this out to everybody right now. tdubick@flytolearn.com. Send all. All right. There we go. So go ahead and send that to me, and we'll get it set up. And also, here, let me show you this Fly to Learn video on YouTube. All right. And on that YouTube video, you're going to see other videos. We're going to just keep adding videos to that. The curriculum videos, very specific to the curriculum, will be on Dropbox for you and on our website. Or, excuse me, a private YouTube location. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll see you next Tuesday. And hopefully I'll be rid of this cold. And again, thanks for working with young people. Thank you very much. You all take care.